everyone. This is Diysalvation status update, where I give you biblical perspectives on everyday issues. I am your host, Pastor Iyobele, and in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about trust, with particular emphasis on romantic relationships. Recently, I counseled a couple, and they had some issues, some trust issues. The story was told that the man had gone in for surgery, and the lady got a hold of his phone and went through it. And then all hell broke loose, of course, when she found out that he had another woman. All right. Now, after, of course, series of fights, they eventually agreed on it, and he broke it off with this other lady, and she wanted to still be with him, so they started working on their relationship. However, some time later, she found out that he was still texting this other woman or even calling her. So she decided that she was going to put I think there's a lot of apps these days that do things like that, where you put some surveillance on your partner's phone or something like that, and then you just monitor their activities. All right. But then it wasn't getting better, because with her doing all of these things, she was becoming paranoid, because he kept on, talking about who is this girl and who is that girl and all of that. And even the man felt like his freedom was being taken away from him, because he wasn't even free to interact or to relate with other women. Of course, I understand the situation that she was actually just reacting to heartbreak, okay, and she was not completely or totally healed from the betrayal, which means that she needed to take some time out and actually deal with it, and not continue to be in that relationship. But they still wanted to be together, and this is the reason why I wanted to talk about this today, because this particular issue has been going on and on and on, and a lot of couples have come to me with the same situation, where the woman has placed some form of surveillance on the man's phone, and so now the man is even saying, should I just lock my phone? In fact, let's just lock our phones, and we shouldn't do that. And I am totally against that, because I know a lot of men, and even men of God, who do not have any form of surveillance on their phones. And I found out that there's all forms of depravity happening in their phones without their women knowing about these things that are happening. All right, so it gives that much freedom to anybody in a relationship. I would not support it, and that's the reason why I have to talk about this. Now, for this particular couple, it was quite interesting, because while we were talking about this, and the man said, take this thing out of my phone, the app out of my phone, and she said, I wouldn't do that. And then I said, okay, fine, if you wouldn't do that, then we should put the app on your phone, and he would also have control to that also. And she wouldn't do that also. And so we decided that we're just going to take the app off, and she agreed. And so the app is out of his phone, and there's no app on her phone, but now she's sad. And I was like, why are you sad? And she's like, now he's even the worst. I don't even know what he's doing. And so that's why I wanted to talk about this, because there are actually ways, that you can handle these issues without having to be paranoid, or without having to lose your freedom. All right. Now, there's this. Let me just start with the trust issues, the causes of trust issues first and foremost. What would cause you to not trust your partner? God is all wise, and sometimes we as human beings, we think that the biblical perspective is actually religious. But remember, Diysalvation is nothing religious. Diysalvation actually takes God out of the realm of religion and puts God in the realm of reality, of life in general. God actually shows us how we ought to live our lives. But if we don't follow them, we now see that there are actually consequences, to not following his rules or his ways. All right. For instance, God says no premarital sex. The very moment the premarital sex enters into a relationship, there are already trust issues. All right. If you're in a relationship and it's new, and your boyfriend or whoever it is that you're dating is pressuring you for sex, let me tell you, the sooner you give it to him, that's how easy you have broken his trust, because he's going to wonder, the other guy, was it how fast he got it too? So already he doesn't even trust you, but you gave it to him. So I know girls, because guys, I think it's proven that guys have double standards. That for sure we know. Because the one thing that they are doing, they wouldn't want to hear that a woman is doing. That's already sure. But they can't change who they are, because I don't know why God made them that way. But they're just like that. So what do? Do not do it. Just keep yourself for marriage. If he doesn't have what it takes to win you and be able to marry you, then at least you have nothing to lose. Because imagine if you sleep with him and at the end of the day, you don't get married. What happens? You're hurt, you're regretting, and he's moved on. And basically it was just, for that moment for him. So premarital sex, of course, is one of the causes. If a man knows that you've been sexually active before him, he now wonders, so why does he have to go through flowers and dates and all those wonderful things, chocolates and gifts, to be able to get, you to sleep with him? So premarital sex is a no-go. Just make up your mind. In fact, right now I found out that a lot of unbelievers are even doing it. They're staying off sex because at the end of the day, relationships lose their meaning the moment you indulge. All right. And the next thing is lasciviousness. Lasciviousness is a life without restraint. You can't hold yourself. You can't hold yourself. So now you have a boyfriend. You're sleeping with your boyfriend. Then your ex comes, and then you remember your ex. I just don't get it. What's going on with young people these days? It's just a lot of complicated. They just complicate things for themselves. Lasciviousness is something that is a life is a life of no restraint, and you shouldn't get to the point where things control you. Sex shouldn't control you. Emotions. Okay, yeah, your boyfriend is not romantic, so your ex-boyfriend was romantic, and so now he's now doing something that your current boyfriend is not doing. So you're now taking his phone calls. Let me say something. If you have broken up with somebody, delete, block. Everything applies. Do not keep the numbers or the text messages and all of that. What do you want all that reminiscing for? Forget they even exist for a while until you know that you're completely over them. It doesn't make sense that you say that you're in a committed relationship and then you're taking other people's calls, and then the person that you want to get married to is sitting in front of you. Then you're saying, excuse me, I'm going. All the way guys do it. You look at the phone, they'll say, don't mind, it's that stupid girl. I'm not going to take her phone call. All right, and then you are like, oh yeah, she's really a stupid girl. Then later on, he takes the phone and goes to call the so-called stupid girl and says, hello dear. Now these days I found out that all girls are dear. All girls are dearest. All girls are what's the other one? Dearie and sweetie and sweetheart and everything. You don't even know the person on Facebook. The person just sends a text message. The next minute is dear, hello, sweetheart, and things like that. That's just by the way. Anyway, then the next thing is that no respect for covenants. People don't have any respect for covenants. When two people meet in a relationship and say, we are going to be in a relationship, it ought to be exclusive. It ought to be like that, like we are in a relationship. But people have no respect for covenants anymore. You say one thing this minute, the next minute you change your words. If your words do not carry weight, do you think you're really going to go far in life? And it starts with your relationships. Your words need to carry weight. If you say, I'm going to be with you, let it be so. Because that's exactly how you behave in your business. When it comes to money, people have to know that your words carry weight. And if you say you're going to do this, you will do it. It's a discipline, all right? And of course, like I already mentioned, no proper breakups. And those are the causes, basically, of trust issues in relationships. Now, I found out something. For me being a pastor, I found out that every guy that meets me, they already assume that, there's not been any previous relationships in my life because I'm a pastor. And so they completely trust me. I'm just trying to explain the fact of men having double standards. Now, I'm not by any means trying to say that I'm a bad girl or anything like that. No, I'm just saying that is not enough reason for a man to say that she's completely good. She's just perfect and she's all of that. That isn't enough reason, but that's how men think. They just say, wow, she's like this, and that's it. They just imagine that a man sees a woman and all he sees is that she's just pure and she's wonderful and she's never been touched before, and they don't want to picture her with any other man, but they have plans of violating her. All right, this is how a man generally would think. So all these things happen, but that is not enough guarantee for you to say, okay, she's entirely good and that's it, because other things have to come to play in the relationship. Now, what then is the solution to trust, to trust issues in a relationship? First, number one thing, I believe I'm talking to believers. If you're not born again, then you just receive Jesus and then all of this will apply to you. Or else, there are two different systems at play right now. There's one of the system of the world and then there's the system of the kingdom of God. And we belong to one, all right? You can't belong to both. You have to know where you are. If you're one that belongs to the system of the world, that means you've never given your life to Christ. You do not belong to God right now. Then what I'm saying would not apply to you in any way. What you would need to do is to make the commitment first, and then you get in on the program. All right. Now, what is the program? Number one, be led by the Spirit before getting into a relationship. I have learned that when a guy comes, I know that I'm a woman. And when a guy comes, he's tall, dark, handsome, he has all the money in the world, he speaks well. I think that's what girls like these days, right? Okay. And what else again? You know, they have a lot of money or something. And now he comes, and then from the beginning, you're already swooning, like, whoa, cool guy, everything. What do you do? At that moment, you're a woman, you are emotional. That is the time to pray. Go and fast, or else he's going to sweep you off your feet and you would not know what to do about it. And many of these guys that know that they are tall, dark, handsome, they are all of the above, they know these things and they know how to get a woman at the end of the day. So if you're easily even, swayed by those things, they also have no value for you. So what do? That is the time to pray. Let me tell you the secret about prayer. The more you spend time praying, I found out the secret. Just go 7 days fasting. As long as you can be fasting, just do it. Let me tell you, all the things he tells you will just be on the surface. Not just that, you will have dreams about him. You will know what he wants. I have had situations where the particular man who I'm like, oh, so crazy about, comes to me in my dream and I see exactly how he is. He tells me exactly what he wants, and not in, fancy words. He doesn't tell me like you are beautiful and all of that. His spirit man speaks to me, like he tells me, he says, this is what I want, I just want to sleep with you. It's crazy, right? But that's what I see, that's what I hear. So the next time I see him, I'm looking at him because I already know what he wants. All right? So go and fast about it and pray about it. Relax, calm down, don't rush, don't be in a hurry. Like I said, it's a wide spectrum of possibilities. If it's not that guy, you will meet somebody else just immediately after. All right? But you have to change your mindset. Don't say that men are already finishing. Finishing where? They're everywhere around you. All right? This is the mindset that these are the feelers that men get when they get from women, and so that they feel like they are so important. Even the ones that are not even smart and the ones that are not even, that buoyant or that handsome or anything that women generally will not fall for. But just because of their confidence that they're men, that's what makes people, fall for them. All right? So, the next thing, I'm running out of time now. Next time you fall in love, do not let yourself to fall in love just with the next available guy. Believe God instead for the man that best suits your needs. All right. And if you're already in a loving relationship and you love this person, you're both committed to one another, please do not use suspicions to scatter what you already have. All right. Being suspicious and all of that and tying the guy down and things like that. Because if they've once cheated on you and you're hurt, decide if you still want to be in the relationship. If yes, then the next things that I tell you is going to help you. And this is what I'll say. There's a scripture in 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 1. I always like to leave you with the principle to work with. One for the road. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 1. It says, likewise, he's talking to women, but it also applies to men. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear, whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting of the hair and of wearing of gold or putting on of apparel, but let it be the hidden man of the heart in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God of great price. For after this manner, in the old time, the holy women also who trusted in God adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as you do well and are not afraid with any amazement. All right. The point of this is this. It says to women, it says, when you have issues in relationship, the behavior of a woman is that when she finds that her husband is cheating or there's any form of suspicion or anything like that, that she's afraid with amazement. And that's actually what pushes her to put the surveillance on his phone or whatever it is that, he has, and follows him around and do things like that. But what the Lord is saying is that, look at Sarah. What did Sarah do? That she obeyed Abraham and called him Lord. And it says you are daughters of Abraham because she was not afraid with any amazement. And I'll tell you a story. In the Old Testament, Abraham was traveling with his wife. He got to a city. The king was a notorious king. And he was afraid that the king was going to, kill him or whatever. So the first thing the king asked after was his wife. And he said, who is she? She's so beautiful. Because everywhere he went, they told him his wife is so beautiful. And Abraham was cowardly and he said, she's my sister. Because actually she was his half-sister. All right. And so the king was excited. Really? So I can actually take her. So the king Abimelech took his wife and went, to be with her. Now listen, Sarah was not somebody who was weak. Sarah was not a weak woman. What did Sarah do? Sarah called him Lord. When Abraham came and said, this is what will happen, she didn't immediately say, you this coward. Some of us would have done that. You this coward, you mean you cannot protect me? How could you have done this? But she looked at Abraham and she said, yes, Lord. And she went. Now, how do I know Sarah was not cowardly? Because she was the same person who gave her maid to her husband to sleep with so that she will be able to have children. Can you remember? Two of her maids actually, just one, all right? So she gave that maid to her husband. And her husband was confused. And her husband went to God and said, Lord, what do I do about this matter? And the Lord said, he was confused about it and he didn't know what to do. But he gave in to her precious, all right? And he did sleep with someone else who was not his wife and had children, and they had issues in their marriage because of that particular situation. So you know that Sarah was not that kind of woman. But at this point, she said, yes, Lord. And she went with Abimelech. Now, this scripture is telling us that when Sarah went with Abimelech, she was not looking at Abraham to save her or to protect her. She trusted God that nothing will happen to her. She trusted God that nothing will happen to her. So she went. And that night, as Abimelech was about to go into somebody else's wife, the Lord appeared to him by himself and said, you are but a dead man. That's what we're talking about. That's what the scripture is talking about. I'm telling you that there are ways you can stop these things. You don't need to go over your spouse's phone. If you're already married, you don't need to go over your husband's phone. All you need to do is to settle down in prayer. Settle down in prayer and tackle that matter. Let me tell you, he's going to come back to you. There's a way my pastor will put it, say you iron his head in prayer. He will suddenly come to his senses. But not just that. If you're in a relationship and it's not in marriage yet, and the man is going after other women, it's in prayer you would know whether this is the person you should go with. You need to trust God. Leave these things. Don't fight a physical battle by works or things like that, but trust God. The beginning of trust in relationship is actually trusting God. All right? The beginning of trust in relationship is actually trusting God. Oh, I think my time is being exhausted at this point now. But thank you so much for listening. Maybe in another broadcast, I'll build some more on this. Like I said last time, still check out our YouTube channel. All the messages, all the previous videos are there on our YouTube channel, Diysalvation Live Show. And also on Facebook, follow us on Facebook, Diysalvation Live. Also Facebook. And then of course, if you have questions, you can inbox, send messages on Facebook. I would respond at my earliest convenience. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.